Okay, great. Let's get started with my favorite slide. Most tax professionals have too many clients. Doesn't that viscerally offend you? Wouldn't you like 5 more? You know, if you could just get some more referrals. I submit to you that when I first started in this business, and just to give you an indication, I started with a ballpoint pen, the actual IRS forms, and carbon paper. That's how long I've been doing this, okay? When I started to do individual tax returns, if I thought that maybe sometime in the future you might pay me, I would accept you as a client. That was my criteria. Now, as time has passed, I've set up other criteria. But I submit some folks are still working off that original criteria. Anybody that's willing to come in my door, I'll accept as a client. And I want to challenge that basic assumption of yours, okay? In fact, I want you to think more strategically about how you're going to position your practice. What are your loves? What are your passions? You are not in the business to do everything for everybody. I take that back. Some of you may be, or some of you may think you are. But I'll challenge that assumption here, because if you focus on given areas, I think you can generate huge returns and high margins in your practice, okay? Now, I know this is kind of hard for me to read, so I'll speak it out to you. Who's in the back? Rob, is that all blurry to you back there?
I can see it.
Okay. This was my client base a few years back. It's not real current. And let me explain to you what I did. I took a listing of all my clients, and I added up all the tax revenues I received from them. I added up all the business revenues I received from them. And I added up all the money under management that I received. I did not count any of the insurance products. It was just too difficult, and they tend to be not repetitive. I had 5 clients that routinely paid me over 20 grand a year, and those 5 clients are what I refer to as my A clients, and they produce $166,000 a year for me. Okay? Now this is integrated with financial planning. And this is, by the way, a little tough to do if all you're doing is $300 tax returns, because all your clients look the same. Okay? And I'll show you how to get around that in just a moment. My B clients, I've got 6 B clients that spend over 10 grand a year with me. They represent another 75,000. And I've gone down all the way to my G clients. So over 20,000, above 10, over 5,000, over 2,500, over 1,000, over 500. But I want you to see this. I've got 264 clients that spend less than $500 with me. That represents 11% of my total revenue. I used to say to myself years ago, all I want are $200 and $300 tax returns, because there's no problems, there's no liabilities, it's easy money, I won't get called the rest of the year. That was my business. That's why I have so many of these folks. Because once they come on board, do these clients tend to leave you? No, they don't. We'll talk about that in just a moment as well. But it's important for you to start understanding your client base. So if you're going to do what I do and run things more efficiently, the number one thing you have to understand are who are your clients. Now, Money Concepts has a much better grid than this. And I use their grid intuitively as opposed to methodically. I use this one methodically, but then I walk back through, and I also account for, do I like the client? Are they a good referral source? And those types of things. When I finalize my rating of clients, I take in non-monetary considerations. And I may have some clients that I'm going to throw away that are up in this area. In fact, I've got a couple right in this area that I'm going to get rid of, because intellectually and emotionally they're not compelling to me. Okay? So money is not the only criteria, but for our purposes today, it's the simplest criteria. Okay? This is where you start when you start to analyze your practice. Now, what does this mean? What does that grid mean? Dropping 62.6% of my workload drops my annual income 11%. Now, if I was one of your clients, what would you be telling me to do? Yeah, get rid of them. You know? Now, just to let you know, I've acquired over 17 other firms in my career, And I wouldn't fire these clients, I would bundle them